example. So they just decided, okay, this is the next thing I can do. We want people who are really passionate about education. So those who would be in teaching, those who would be in publishing, writing, who would be in research, in the library, counseling, all those different areas. I wasn't able to get a counselor, but yes, I mean, we can't exhaust everything. So we'll do what we can, and as we go along, we'll have more, we'll get more experience, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of enlightenment from our speakers. So our participants are joining already.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, everyone. Welcome and welcome once again. We have new people that just came in, and we have done a brief introduction. So I'm just going to run through for those that are just joining in, and I would like them to say something before we go on, so we know who exactly we are addressing. The beautiful thing about it is that this will be shared on our social media handles, so not just this space, but every other person would have the benefits to join, to be part of it, and to learn from this. I wish I had that experience when I was younger. I wish I did. I just told myself, okay, I will study education and I will study mass comm. I'll study education in case my husband doesn't want me to do mass comm. At least I can teach in his class, come home on time. So that was it for me until I realized for me it was a passion or something I was just meant to do. Okay, so welcome once again. I want to welcome you again. Miss Toluwala, she hasn't joined? Okay, she hasn't joined.
No, not yet.
And Olasheni Orimogunje. My Yoruba is terrible, but I'm learning. He's a publisher of Learn Africa Plc. And Miss Utibe Henshaw is an assistant program manager and the Education Partnership TEP Center. And welcome once again, Mr. Rotimi Jiboku, Principal, Jextoban Secondary School. You are welcome again. Okay, so before we go on, let's have Mr. Rotimi, could you please just wave so they see you? I know they can see your name, just wave so they see you, sir. All right. Mr. Utibe Henshaw, just shout and hello to us so we get to see you or hear your voice.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so while we wait for her, let's have Olasheni Orimogunje. Please correct me when you say something.
Olasheni Orimogunje.
Orimogunje. These are the things that we should have learned very well.
Oh, Yoruba Wabi.
We should have learned it very well in secondary school, but it didn't matter. Now it matters, Yes. Okay. You're welcome, Ma. You're welcome, Ma. Okay. Is it Solami or Sholami Okunlola?
Sholami.
Could you please, let's have you. You're welcome. Sholami Okunlola.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Could you please tell?
For inviting me.
You're welcome. Could you please introduce yourself?
Okay. I'm Sholami Okunlola.
Okay.
I'm a teacher and parent of teenagers.
Okay. Okay.
What else? Thank you.
I think that's it. Thank you very much. Okay. Peace Okunlola. Let's have you, Peace Okunlola.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I'm a teen. Yes, I'm a teenager.
Okay. Okay. What class are you?
I'm in JS3.
JS3. Oh. Why did you join this training? Why did you join this today? Can you tell us what are you expecting to get at the end of the day?
I'm expecting to get more convinced about because I really want to do education in school.
Oh, so
So,
uncommon. Okay.
so I really want to get more convinced that okay, this is what I'm actually called to do. Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. I hope it will not disappoint you. We're in it together.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, mommy. Miss Olufemi Tanimola. Give me an honor of welcoming you. She's a mentor, she's a mother. She's everything you can define in an educator and a mentor. Nice to have you, mommy. Could we hear your voice, mommy?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
It's a
afternoon.
Good
privilege
afternoon, ma.
this afternoon
Okay.
to learn. Thank you.
Okay. So mommy wants to learn today. Interesting. Okay. Nice to have you, ma. Elizabeth Jedo. You will correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Elizabeth does not like speaking.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
just all I needed to say is hello. That's all.
Uh-huh. Say hello.
Good afternoon.
Good
It's
afternoon. Thank you
actually
very much for
Jedo.
joining in.
Okay,
Jedo. Oh, I knew
yes,
something would be
yes.
silent there, so the D is silent. Jedo.
Yeah,
You're welcome. Mrs.
thank you.
Ohwe, you're welcome. Thanks for joining in. Would you like to just say hello? Hello.
No, thank you for welcoming me.
You're welcome, ma. You're welcome. All right, Miss Oluwanifemi Dada. I said Miss, I'm not sure. Oluwanifemi Dada. You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Very sharp.
Boy,
Okay.
Yes, it's a
So
boy, and he's been with us all day. He's been with us for the
I
first,
noticed his
second, and this third session. Yes,
I
well
noticed the
done.
name Oluwanifemi Dada.
Yes,
I did.
welcome.
I hope at the end of today at the end of it all you would have a change in everything you've been aspiring to be. You're welcome, everyone, again. Mr. Rotimi will be starting with you. Would you give us a brief background of you?
Background
What
about.
do you think we should know about you that would
Oh,
inspire us?
well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Once
afternoon,
again,
sir.
I can say that, well, for some time now, I've been in the education sector. I'm a teacher, I'm a learner. I try as much as possible to learn from the young ones, as far as we also like to share knowledge and to also participate in ventures that involve them. I think the very beautiful thing about education is the fact that everyone knows about education. And as it is, it's just very recently that we have in Nigeria that we have the practice trying to come together under one umbrella. Well, what I mean is having this kind of requirement by government to say, yes, everybody must pass through this particular institution to be recognized as a teacher. And that's what you talk about, having the TRCN. But generally, I've been there for some time now. Of course, I've been teaching. I've been also in the management cadre. But even before that, even till now, I can still say that I'm a teacher. And the sector is such that, it's such a very huge sector, because you have different practitioners, doing different things. You're not just talking about the teachers now, you're talking about the support, you're talking about other professionals, you're talking about ancillary services, you're talking about the counselors, you're talking about the business executives who are also managing the business side of education. So it's such a huge venture, like I said. Over 30 years I've been in the industry, like I said, teaching, and of course also learning from the young ones and trying as much as possible to also inspire them towards worthy things in the society. But you know, as we speak, the sector, because we are in Nigeria, for instance, so we have to face the reality in Nigeria. And when we say we are producing the kind of graduates that we are producing, it is for a particular effect, that is to do something about the society. So I've had, you know, some experiences with the private sector, with the public sector, and generally I'm still learning, as I say. So it's just bringing to bear what we have known over the years and trying to see what we can do to improve the sector. So that is where I am.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I have some questions for you, but I'll come back to that later. Miss Utibe Henshaw, a brief explanation about your career.
Thank you, Temitayo. Can you hear me clearly?
Clearly.
Fantastic. So I kind of stumbled into education. My first degree was in chemical engineering from the University of Lagos. But I think very quickly, once I got admission, I realized that this might not be something I'll spend the rest of my life doing. It became very clear after my first year in the university, and not because the course is not worthwhile, there's no prospects for it. I just didn't have the interest. The career tracks for chemical engineering can be in Nigeria can be a little narrow in the sense that you either fall into oil and gas or you seek very unique or bespoke manufacturing, roles. And I didn't see myself spending 2 weeks or 3 months off in one rig in the sea somewhere, working as an oil and gas engineer. And neither did I see myself doing admin things in. So those were our options, when we went for IT in our fourth year, we would either work in an oil company, a very highbrow oil company where you spend your time doing photocopy or getting coffee with the hope that you meet somebody, you make a connection that will get you a real job in the future. And I just didn't see myself doing any of those things, when I graduated. I think my most memorable time in the university was when I had to write my final year dissertation, my research paper to graduate. And, that one, I determined the pace of my own learning. I did my research myself, wrote all of my results, did the analysis. Like I did everything myself. I was very involved. And it was the best part of my time in school. So I think that kind of should have given me a clue about what I would do, later in life. Because NYSC came and I was posted to a school to teach. But this school was a really, really, really poorly run school, very poorly managed, somewhere in Lagos State. I won't say where. And I was appalled. I was shocked, actually, at the kind of things that were happening, in this school. I was frustrated. I thought about calling the press to come and, just show the owner of the school and just how bad they were treating people and treating children. Education is one of those businesses where you can't do it without a conscience, because you can sell a fake bag to somebody. The worst that they lose is money. But if you sell a fake education, you're ruining somebody's future, ruining their lives, ruining an entire nation, really. And that's what this school was doing. So during that time, I met a consultant who was doing some research, for education innovation in Nigeria. And I had only one question. Is it about education? For basic education? She said yes. I said, will it help? Will it help improve quality of education in Nigeria? She said yes. And I said, count me in. And that's how I started my career as an education consultant. And I've been working with her ever since. And we've diversified into so many different areas that I'm sure I'll get a chance to talk about, later on. But yeah, that's my career in a short and sweet description. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Mel. It's so interesting too. I think most of us actually went through that path of you want to do this and you end up doing but okay, let's have Mrs. Olasheni give us a brief background about herself, career. You're welcome, Mel.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's nice being on this career talk. Well, I never had the intention of being a publisher or but because Actually, my dad who worked with Punch, worked with Daily Times, and Concord, and Concord, And then the payment, the salary structure is not that fantastic. But then it was still okay. At least he was able to manage his home. But at the point, I get my admission into Lagos State University. I read books. That I was like, I didn't like it really, because my intent was to go for biochemistry, but I just had to continue. So I went through it. I went for service. I was posted to Niger State, that is Mokwa. When I got there, I was told that I'll be a teacher in a secondary school, of which I was angry, I was not happy with, and I was like, no, I can't do that and all that. I don't want a secondary or primary school. So later on, I had disagreement with my head brain and all that. Eventually, I was posted to, because initially I was posted to NCRI, Nigerian Rice Institute. And I was I was going to work with the whites. I was going to work with these people from abroad and all that. And I was going to, become somebody, that kind of thing. I was happy. But when I got to Mokwa, my leader said, no, you're not. You can't be the only one with those people and all that. I have to go to primary school. I said, and as a believer, it's like the way we reason. I reject it in Jesus' name. It's not my portion. That is the emotion, I was like, that is the emotion from Institute of Rice and all that to a primary school. I reject it and all that. We had a tough argument, but the man was just like, what is wrong with you? But eventually he said, okay, what we will do is, okay, that we would have to try a higher institution, that's College of Agriculture, Mokwa. I said, okay, I think I can try that. I think that would be better than going to a primary school to teach. What is from the Rice Research Institute to, So eventually, I was posted to College of Agriculture, Mokwa. I enjoyed myself. In fact, the lecturers there, they were like, they could see a change in the students, because I had to take pre-ND and ND. So they were like, the way you took them, even the result that came out, they came out with very good result. That in fact, that particular class has been failing, and with that, what they could see now, so I have to just restructure them, help them, and all that. I was speak where I was supposed to speak and all that, and that was it. I left the place, and I was like, I came back. I said I don't want to have anything to do with lecturing, teaching, or anything, but that I would prefer a company, in fact, a bank. Then if you write exams you do the interview and you pass, you can get into the bank and you can work in the bank. But it didn't work out. But I had to go back to teaching. That is teaching primary and secondary. I think maybe that was what God wanted me to do. When you jump something, you go back to it. Especially when you are a child of God, you can't jump. You just have to pass through the system. So I went into the school. I was taking primary school. Later I left. I went to secondary school. I took them. I taught secondary school level. I taught them biology and agriculture. Then later, my sister just said, while she was coming, she saw a place where she said they needed a receptionist, an executive receptionist in the publishing firm. It was a one-man business. So why don't I try that one and all that? So I just went. When I got there, the man said, no, you can't do that. You have to, for my credentials, of course, and I told him what and all. And I said, no, you can't. Yeah, you have to be a publisher. I want you to be a publisher. I said, what is the meaning of that? So he just said, I said, my own decision is now call the wife. The wife was a judge then. That she come and discuss, talk to me. That why will I, with my results and all that? So I hear a woman spoke with me. The man said, okay, take this. He gave me manuscript and gave me a textbook on it. Said, oh yeah, go and work on this manuscript, read the textbook, use it to edit and bring back to me. So I did that. I did, and when I turned to him, said, "You see how good you have edited this work. That what others did not even cite, you were able to cite. That you can't." That was at the end of the year. I started working with him. I started as an assistant editor, later and became an editor. Then from there on, I became an editor. I became an assistant publisher with him. But later on, I decided that, okay, I think it's better for me to move ahead. Instead of my first degree with editorial work, why don't I do something along that line, as in a training, go to school. So I went back to school, I went to UI, I registered for Masters in Publishing and Corporate Studies.
Wow.
That I did. And from there on, I moved from Lagos to Ibadan, finished my master's degrey, then moved to another company, Stalin Holding Publishing House, and from there to Mary, then now I'm in Learn Africa Plc. So everything was, I just felt like, I always know that it's like God ordering my steps. It's not as if, it's not that it's something that I really wanted. Because when you look at publishing line, you don't really have, the money is not really there and all that. So, and every one of us wants money, in quotes, wants to, But then I've been enjoying what I've been doing, and I thank God that it has been helping so many people. At least we've been turning out books that have been, very good just for students to make use of. So we've been meeting the needs of end users. So that's just my short history. Life history.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Olasheni Orimogunje. God bless you. Okay, we just need to ask some questions from Ms. Utibi. And of course, I think you have, and Mrs. Olasheni, you have kind of the same experience, but let us first go to Ms. Utibi. And that is, while you were having this change of career or change of choice, career choice, was there any challenge from parents and friends, or was there any issues from their own, or was there any contrary opinion from them, and how were you able to manage or surmount those challenges?
Absolutely, thank you. So I think the place to start with that question is to say what made me want to change my career in the first place. And at the time, it was because I just wanted to solve a problem. I wanted to help. There was a purpose that I cared about, right? So this was during NYSC. I didn't even know what my career was going to be. But I knew that I was in this school where I was supposed to be teaching children in SS2 chemistry who didn't have a teacher in SS1, who had never been in a chemistry lab before, didn't have any chemistry textbooks. And if you're familiar with chemistry, first term or second term, the first topic in that term is the periodic table. How do you teach the periodic table without a textbook, without a periodic table, when the children are not even familiar with chemical elements? So it was a real problem that I cared about. There were human beings in front of me. As a matter of fact, during that time, I was going to reject, I was going to get the school to reject me, to give me a rejection letter so NYSC can repost me. And the owner of the school was somebody that he won't employ teachers. So we'll be waiting for NYSC to post corpers. They post like 20 corpers to his school alone. And then he uses corpers as teachers. So he didn't want to reject me. So while we were having that conversation, one of the students had heard that they have a new chemistry teacher and that there's no textbook. So he had borrowed his textbook from his neighbor, and then he drew a copy of the periodic table. And when I tell you, it was like a printing, like,
wow,
he drew that periodic table. I was so moved, I had to tell him to sell a copy to me. and then to make copies and sell to his classmates. That was why I decided to stay in that school, because of that young boy and his drawing. So my reason for wanting to do it was strong enough for me to be able to convince the people around me. So after NYC, when I took a job in education and I was earning very little money, and my mom was livid. Like, why would you go to school and graduate with an engineering degree and be earning this type of money? What is this? What is that? But because I had enough conviction to be able to convince her that, look, this is something I care about. This is something I could get better in. Eventually she began to see the difference in me. So if I were to speak to a teenager or to young people, it's about the softer things. It's not always about what you enter into school for, or even what you graduate with. It's about who you are becoming as an individual. So if people see that you are focused, that you're making progress, that you're making a change, it doesn't matter what you are doing. If they can see you moving forward, then they would see the results of your activities. So I think the biggest challenge was not knowing what to expect with a career in education. But once the people around me, particularly my mom I know was the biggest, she was the most vocal, if not the biggest person, because she had tried, she had gotten me jobs with banks, said, go and start in a bank, go back to a fellowship masters, later. Like, I should start earning better money. Now I'm like, I don't want to do a masters right now. I just want to help. Like, there are projects and stuff that I can do, and then I got to travel to do some research, and eventually she became convinced. And then I went back to school to do a postgraduate diploma in education administration and planning. So it's about, what changes happen to you as a person, as an individual. If you see yourself being more productive, more engaged, with your environment and the challenges in your environment, and you wanting to take a step to solve some of these challenges, then you're in the right place. Just need to get the right tools, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Utibe. It just took me back to what Mrs. Olasheni said when she was speaking. And she said that then initially it's always about the money. And most of the time, young children nowadays, what we think about is what profession makes the most money, and which is really the wrong perspective towards choosing a career path. Thank you very much. And yes, and you made a point, which is impact. That is the first thing, making impact, looking for a problem and making an impact based on your own passion and conviction. One thing that must be clear is your deep-rooted conviction. That is what will keep you going. Thank you very much. This is very impactful. Okay, Ms. Olasheni, please, can you just brief us on your challenges, and was there any challenge while when you were changing paths, and how were you able to sail through that?
There was actually my dad, encouraged me, because he was like, he had been though retired then, he had worked with Daily Times, as a librarian. He has worked as a writer.
Oh,
that is
it's in the blood.
So he was okay with it, but my mom was not okay with it because of the time structure. The time, at times I get home around 10 p.m., 11.
Wow.
Which, as far as she's concerned, is ungodly. It's for a lady. And then how much are you being paid? That you want to kill yourself over, you're stressing yourself too much. I know by the time you're through with NYC and all that, the next thing parents, especially mothers, getting married. You have to.
Yeah.
So then I was in a relationship with a medical doctor then. And at the point, the doctor had to say, okay, there was a day I was coming back from work. They had dropped me off on the staff bus, official car, had dropped me in front of our gates. So I have to still walk up into the streets. So my dad had to, what he usually does is the security men will, at the gates, they will take me up to our own gates. My dad will stay outside waiting for me. So once I get to they chaperone me or they help me to my gate, he's always sitting outside waiting for me. So once I get there, when you open the gate, it will take me inside and all that. So at that point, the person now, he now called me, just called me bravely. He just called me and said, "Where are you now?" I said, I'm on my way home. He said, "What? At what time?" I said, "Just left the press, because where I'm working, I have to walk from Man Street to CRC. When we say CRC, we're talking about camera ready. I mean, printing page. So, I still have to get to the printer, stay with them, make sure there is no mistake and all that." So they said, "Where are you coming from? Where are you?" I said, "I'm just coming from." Said, he will be having, will be in the hospital late at night. The wife too will be working late. And that was the end of that relationship. So my mom was just like, I don't like, she doesn't think I'm doing the right thing. Yeah, one, there's no money in it. Two, you will lose it. When you want to plan your life and all that? But my dad kept on encouraging that, "Okay, don't worry, it will sort itself out and all that." And my mom is like it's because he went through the same thing and he used to it, that's why I know that. So, so the job comes with, but with time, by the time I started working for another publishing house, the time factor, changed. So I know that I work between 8 and 5. But then it was all true because it's a one-man business, and the one-man business is everything, everything. Although it was quite enlightening and educative, I think it helped me, to understand the terrain of a job, to be able to do it right and all that. But at the same time, it cost me a relationship. Yes, I'm married now. Thank God for that. But I remember what I told my mom then, because at that point I was happy with what I was doing. I was enjoying myself. I told my mom, I said, "I'll get a man, that the Lord will give me a man that will understand my job. And if I get that kind of person, I will have it." And that was what happened later on. I got a man that understood, that understand, even he doesn't complain. He just say, okay, this period won't be available, okay, no problem. So you see, everything has to do with your if you are convinced and you like what you have a passion for what you're doing. That is the most important thing. You have a passion for what you're doing. Whatever happens along the way, you'll be able to bear it, because you get the strength will be there. So I think so. That was just the problem I had was just the time. And now it has been regulated. I thank God for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So what we got from Miss Utibe and Mrs. Olasheni now is passion and conviction. Yes, there might be challenges on the way, and there will definitely be challenges on the way. But with your deep-rooted conviction, you will be able to sail through it. Thank you very much, Mas, for that insightful input. Okay,
hello.
Mr.
Hello, sorry.
Okay, hello, Ma.
Miss Toluvera Cruz, she sends her apologies. She has a verification exercise at work, which came up suddenly, so she's not able to make it. Though she just sent me a few things. So maybe in the course I might be able to read out some answers to the questions that she wrote out. So you can go on now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. Okay, so Mr. Rotimi, yeah, this question goes to you. Why do you do why is what you do important? And is this the profession you would advise young people to aspire to as a principal? I'm sure before you got to become a principal, you went through stages, but why is it important? And is this what you will advise young people to do, considering what our nation is and the general perspectives from people? How will you convince or confuse, or would you confuse people not to do it? But it all goes to you, sir. Would you advise all the young people to aspire to do what you do?
I think thank you very much for that. When I was growing up, I actually had intention of studying law or something about copywriting. I love the legal profession and the advertising world, so to speak. So I love to be, yeah. And yeah, I knew quite right that I would be studying something like English or something related to the arts generally, but I wasn't sure about the kind of career, I would like to venture to. And there was this opposition then I got at home when I told them I wanted to study law. And they said, oh, look at this young man, we don't have anybody to run to if there's anything or something. The belief then was that, as at that time, if you say you want to study law, they believe that you must have a kind of backing, so to speak, because of course, lawyers, when they go to court and you know how it is, they have to argue case and all that. So it's the general belief that you must have somebody who is somewhere who is protecting you, so to speak, So that was the kind of opinion then that, and I had to jettison that idea, and I had to consider studying something that I know that generally would also give leverage, either the profession or something about copywriting. Anyway, incidentally, when I graduated and I served in the old Sokoto then, although there was a newly created local government in Sokoto called Mayama local government, and I was posted to the Directorate of Foods, Roads and Rural Infrastructure to be an evaluation officer. But incidentally, the local government then had no English teacher. I mean, all the local government then. So I had to be drafted into, apart from my work as the evaluation officer of DIFRI, I was also teaching in the local secondary school and primary school, and even teaching the teachers then at the NTI Study Center, the National Teachers Institute Study Center in Jega then, teaching the teachers to, this kind of in-service training. So, of course, I studied education because, of course, that's a familiar term for me. So it wasn't really difficult. So I was able to at least manage all through the year then. And when I got to Lagos, I got a job then in one of the most promising private school then, even as a housemaster. So it was something we had to actually bring, because some of the children have never left the house before. They have never left their homes before. So we really had to at least make sure that they stabilize. In fact, the location of the school then was such that it was very close to a place that is almost undeveloped, and the students were having all these nightmares at night. So we had to go through all their rooms one by one to ensure that they are well, taken care of before they sleep. And then, so it was the constant engagement that, made me to fall in love with it. And the kind of questions that children will be asking them, you really need to tell them that you are there for them. And once children are able to see that in you, that genuine affection, genuine care, and all that is enough to bring you close to them. So I think more often than not, the younger ones now need to go into educational sector because they need to also mentor. They need for the children to see them as, somebody that they can actually talk to. More often than not nowadays, we find out that education has been left to other people who are not the young ones. And because the young ones want to go into other areas, either technology, either banking, either the medical world, or whatever it is. So they just abandon education and, and it's not good enough. It's not good enough. By the time you are able to come into the education, used to be, before now, years ago, but it's now different. With all what you have about 21st century teaching technologies and all that, is a different thing entirely. And I can say that, especially when you look at the private sector, you find out, the young ones nowadays are enjoying having most people coming into the sector to engage with them. So they prefer having those who are young, those who are, technological savvy, who can engage with them one-on-one and put them through. So I think more often than not, we should have the young ones now going into education and inspiring the young ones too.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, what we could hear clearly is that what kept you in the education sector is the need for mentorship. Thank you, sir. And please, before you go, and there's something you said that you wanted to study law when you were quite younger, but because of some beliefs That was why you chose education. Has there been any moments where you felt like going back into law, and why? And has there been any moment? And if it is a yes or a no, why did you really now stick to education? And how could you advise a young person that felt like, or that must have felt like doing something, and now because of some strong belief, because now your own is beyond people, but there were some strong beliefs that had been held upon that made you go into the other sector, but eventually you found a reason to remain. So please, sir, was there any moment where you felt like maybe I should have gone into law, or I feel like going back into law?
No, not at all. I never for once. In fact, since I can't remember, it was a long time ago. Since that year, I never for one, it never happened that I would say, oh, I should have gone into the law profession or something like that. In fact, let me tell you something. After that incident, and I was already in the education sector, in this school, and I was, housemaster, I was English teacher, literature teacher. I will come around the Ikeja, and incidentally around GRA area, and I will see lawyers, trying as much as possible to either the courts, and then trying to solicit for, how it is when you are going to the court premises and you find some people asking you to come and do your affidavit or things like that. And I'll be looking at them and asking myself, are these really lawyers? The way some of them are shabbily dressed, and you find out some of them are, and it was such a turn off for me. And
Wow.
I never for once thought that, not being in the legal profession is something that, and in fact, like I said, I think it was quite beneficial that I was a housemaster, because, the kind of engagements we were having with the children, some of them could not tell their parents some of the things they were telling us. As those who are so, as at that time, I was really, really more than engaged, and I was really enjoying it. And I think I was in that particular area of house parenting. And that gave me that leverage that I needed at that time to say, no, there's no other profession that can actually do, what this is doing for me at present. So never for once. I never thought of that at all.
Wow. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Temitayo.
Hi, Temitayo. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Rotimi, I said thank you very much, sir, for the time. Thank you, Ifeoluwa, as well. I said I have a lot of questions for Mr. Rotimi, but we'll come back to him later, and also for Ms. Utibe Henshaw and Ms. Olashini, because I guess the children have a lot going on their head, like, especially because they study a lot of subjects in school. They pack bags, heavy bags to school almost every day. And the question is, what are they really using those subjects that they are studying for precisely? So I'll be coming back to all of you. But let's acknowledge Miss Tolu Veracruz's message from Mrs. Olaore. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so Tolu Veracruz, as I said, she had to attend to something very urgent at work, so she sent her apologies. But she sent in a little paper to just give us a little bit of information. So actually, Tolu was my friend from secondary school. I met her, we went to the same lesson. So she was at Queen's College, I was at Navy, but we were friends from lesson. So I remember when we were in secondary school, she was saying she wanted to study architecture. But along the line, we lost touch. I left the country, so we lost touch. And later on, I found out that she studied library and information science at the University of Ibadan. And she also has a master's in information management at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. She's a chartered librarian of Nigeria and a member of the Nigerian Library Association and a lot of other things. So she has 17 years working experience at the National Library of Nigeria. She started work as a fresh graduate from NYSC, and her first working experience was as a cataloger of pornographic materials. So just books anyway. And then she has worked in the following categories over the years: ISBN, ISSN Administrator Officer, Head of ISSN Administration Officer, and then, Head ISSN Administration Officer, and PA to the Director, National Bibliographic Control Department. She's currently the Head Cataloger, Serial Section at the National Library of Nigeria. So the importance of what she does, she says, being a cataloger means I organize knowledge derived from information. Knowledge is what enables us make proper and important decisions. Knowledge is information that has been evaluated, processed, and put in a way that can be accessible and usable for people who seek it. She a librarian, so she's also a librarian. Librarians are information brokers. We acquire, organize, process, store, retrieve, and disseminate information contained in knowledge resources to researchers and information seekers. In the case of knowledge contained in serial publications, I classify and group them by assigning numbers picked from cataloging tools that will eventually make them accessible to users when they get to the state branches of the National Library. So when it comes to training, when you're asking about training opportunities, then she has listed that as well. So when you get to that side, I can tell you what she said.
Thank you very much. I really wish she was with us today. It would have been a pleasure, but it's okay. It's okay. Okay, thank you very much for presenting. Back to our speakers. Before we go on, does any of the students have any questions to ask before I go on? Does any of the students have? If you have anything to ask, just raise your hands up. Just use the icon to raise your hand. In about 10 seconds, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, no questions for now. All right, my question goes to Mrs. Olasheni in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Please, is there any a place where students can actually go and find out courses of things to study, or because I know a child that is presently in JSS3 thereabouts, but she doesn't know what she wants to be. She's yet to know what to study. How can you advise? Personally, I loved no, I won't say loved, I love it. I like it. I should not say love, I should say like. So I like presenting. So but at the same time, I like education. I never knew that I could marry both. I thought, okay, I just choose education, I forget the mass comm and all of that. It's just, I think 3 years ago, I discovered when I was looking for presenting, I just put presenting education here and there, and I saw something titled educational presenter, something like that. And I'm like, oh, really? And there's a lot of job offers for that. So is there a place where the student could actually go and check on courses to study? And do you understand, ma?
Yeah, well, what I can just say is that we have curriculum.
Okay.
Do you understand? We have their curriculum. So, and in school, I believe they have people that, advise them. What do they call them now? They call them, what do they call them?
Counselors.
Counselors, yes, thank you. They call them counselors. They can actually discuss with them, and so they will help them to chart their course so that they will know which part, what to do, and all that. I think that's the only thing they can do.
So followed by Yore. After Yore, ni Yamadia. After Yamadia, ni Yabadan.
Then aside from that, too, hello?
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you, ma.
They can talk to their counselors. Aside from that, what are they passionate about? Some students, they like reading. You know, when you know that you like reading, if you know that that has to do with arts, when you read a lot, you read storybooks, you read, in fact, you love reading. So you know that, okay, your career path should go along arts, to the art class, that is humanities, to be with the humanities and all that. But I feel that the counselors that can do a better job at helping them to pick what course what subjects they can do and all that, depending on what they want to, what the professional line they are choosing.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. So if you had counselors in your school, in my time, me, I did not have a counselor.
Yes, but now they do.
Oh,
But they do now.
let me ask Mr. Rotimi Jiboku. Mr. Rotimi, do you have a counselor in your school? That's
Yeah, we have a counselor.
okay.
Actually, I think the issue is that, right from right from the time when you admit a student into your school, there are supposed to be programs that should actually enlighten them about career choice and all that. In fact, there is something you call Career Week, where different people are invited to come and talk about their line of duty and what kind of things that they do. So
Do you do that in
that's
your
something.
school, sir? You do that in your school, sir?
Yeah, we have a week where you invite some parents to come. A parent who is a medical doctor can come, somebody who is an engineer can come. They tell the children about their experiences, how they're able to study for what they are studying. And even more than even that is predictable, you have other people who are doing other things apart from what they are studying in the university. So it's something that they are able to see, that they even see some of their parents doing that. So it's something they can do. And then, when you're talking about the choice of, tertiary institutions to attend and all that, they need to look at the requirements. For instance, every year, JAM publishes all the universities that offer different courses. They have requirements, what kind of stuff they need, UTME, and what they need to do. And even if it's abroad, for instance, there are some universities that will tell you that whether they need test of English as a foreign language, whether they need SATs, whether they need either WAEC or NECO, or whether they, the international certification. So all those are provided. And once the counselors are able to check for those facts, they are able to, of course, educate them about the requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Rotimi. So it's interesting to know that we can actually meet our counselors, students here. I want to believe we all have counselors presently in school. So you can actually meet your counselors for advice on what to study.
The challenge, hi Temitayo. So the challenge is that, like in a school like Mr. Jiboku's school, it's quite high end. But when you go to like not too high end private schools, the two professionals that don't really sell in those kind of schools are the counselor and the librarian. Yeah, if you go to, so if there's a counselor there, the counselor is teaching. They're not usually full-time counselors. Yes.
Wow.
They're not full-time. And even from my experience of seeing counselors in government schools as well, you find that they also need to teach. That's just the experience I have seeing some of the counselors. Some of them have to teach. I'm not saying it's a general thing, but you find that they still teach. and
Yeah.
and they're not doing the full-time counseling.
Right. Actually, in Nigeria. Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Utibe Henshaw,
Yes,
aside
please.
from your experience in the NYC, have you been able to impact something, other things to children, students? Okay, sorry, I just got something. Mr. Hanimo, sorry, please. Mr. Hanimo said, but even at that, every teacher is a counselor. Oh, beautiful. Yes, every teacher should take up the role for not just teaching their subjects, but also to be ready to mentor. But you know, unfortunately, sometimes some teachers are just, they have a wall, they have an edge sometimes. So we can get those other kind of, but we are expected to mentor and come to that. It means that we should be informed as well. So aside that, even in education right now, thank God for the social media nights everywhere. So students, you could just Google. I like to sing. I like to write. I like to gaze at the sun. I like nature. What can I do with this? I want to believe that something could actually, you could get something that would lead you to the path. All right. Thank you. Okay, sorry, Mr. Henshaw. So I said, have you been able to impact anything in aside NYC?
Okay. So yes, I think starting from NYC, I actually spent time teaching in that school and just engaging with children and understanding what the challenges with learning, could be with teaching and learning. For example, we are teaching chemistry to children that some of them couldn't even read properly. So starting from helping their vocabulary and grammar. I remember we had to buy English primer for a student in SS2, just so that she could understand, what was going on in the classroom, or teaching them the basics like multiplication and indices, some of the fundamental knowledge they needed to have in order to be able to progress in a chemistry class. So moving on from there, my work has really been around supporting innovations like that. So the way I define innovation and the way we define innovation in my work is efforts, an activity or an intervention designed to improve quality and access to quality education, in Nigeria. And I spent a lot of my time in the early stages of my career just identifying innovative actors like that, like Otto Orondam and the Slum to School initiative, similar to also Fumiola's work with the Save a Child, Save a Nation Foundation, identifying actors that were not necessarily private sector for profit actors or even government actors, just non-profit, non-state, actors intervening in the education space. And once I started to identify these organizations and these individuals, my work then began to analyze what their needs are. How do they scale their work? How do they benefit more? How do they reach more beneficiaries? How do they deepen the impact of their work in the education sector in Nigeria? And that's kind of how my career has progressed. So by supporting these organizations to scale, by supporting them to do their work effectively and efficiently, I've also been able to help, indirectly impact, their program beneficiaries. I remember one of the programs that we supported, I don't know if you're familiar, is the Teach for Nigeria program. So the Teach for Nigeria program is an education leadership initiative where they seek to raise leaders and problem solvers for the education sector in Nigeria. So they recruit and they select graduates of any degree, really. If you graduate with a good result, I think we have a benchmark of 2-1, and you are interested or passionate about the education sector in Nigeria, they admit you into a 2-year fellowship program where they train you, they provide you with resources and materials, access to experts, and then they send you into a school to teach for 1 year, and also to develop a project, design a project that could solve a particular problem. And for us, for me, I think that's the crux of the matter. If we are able to raise a generation of problem solvers, one of the things my mother used to say to me when I was going to the university is that she didn't expect, she was sending me to university to kind of harness my skills of critical thinking, or, you know, what's the word now? Critical analysis, problem solving, to collaborate with others, to be able to communicate my ideas. That's why she sent me to the university, not just so that I can get a degree and then take my pali, as we say it in Nigeria, or my certificate and begin to look for a job. Not that there's anything wrong with looking for a job, but you must be able to engage your own faculties and to say to yourself, what do I bring to the table? How do I solve the problem? So that's, I think, if you want to chart impact in my career, to start with myself, being able to be honest with myself and to be able to critically analyze what is the best way I can contribute to solving problems in my society. And then to do the same for the children that I taught in the time that I spent teaching, and then for the rest of my career, supporting innovators like that, whether it's an organization or an individual, helping them to think strategically through the problems that they're trying to solve and figuring out a strategy for them to scale the impact of their work.
Thank you very much. In just 5 seconds, all this that you do, it's easy, you're a female. In 5 seconds, it's just a yes or no. If a male should venture into it, can he bring food to his table? If he says, okay, I want to be an assistant and program manager like Ms. Utibe Henshaw, she's just all there impacting, partnering, all that. Will he bring food to the table? We're all just saying money, but it is necessary, at the back of it.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the, if I may have more than 5 seconds to respond, I'll just respond to this very quickly. Okay. I think the message I want to leave behind to young people is that the opportunities are limitless. Particularly in the education sector. Education in Nigeria has been somewhat restricted to schooling because of just how bad things are. We have so many children out of school. We don't have enough education infrastructure, basic infrastructure, and the private schools are doing the best that they can. But because they are private, they must remain profitable. So they cannot reach everybody. They can't reach the poorest of the poor. So that's why the education sector seems so unattractive. But actually the reverse is the case. It's not true. There's so many opportunities. Private schools always need access to affordable teacher training. They need we need to be able to teach children skills these days. So skills education is quite a big deal. And in this age of technology, young people are in such a good position to be able to learn a skill and earn a living by teaching that skill. You can teach teachers so that they can teach their students. You can teach other people. I have friends and I know a lot of young people that they are still in school, but they make money on the side by teaching people in Japan, for example, how to speak English. Because, Japan is a country where the lingua franca is not English. But once they leave their country and they go for a master's, say in the UK, they'll have, struggles with the language. Unlike in Nigeria here, where we have so many local languages, we are forced to adopt English as the lingua franca. So the fact that you can speak English and also speak your local language, it makes you bilingual. That's an earning opportunity right there. So yes, absolutely. There's more than a million ways to make money. And the organization that I work with, we do research, we do program design, we do monitoring and evaluation, we do all kinds of things. If you are solving a problem, you are creating value, money will follow you, trust me. So I don't know how much time I have, but definitely, yeah, to answer your question, definitely opportunities to make money in the education sector.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Utibe. Thank you very much. Okay, we have a contribution from the chat room, and that is from Mrs. Mola. And she says, Temitayo has read the previous one, which says, but concerning the counselor, but even at that, every teacher is a counselor and a role model. And she added that the absence of a counselor in the school often creates that gap, but basically it should not. The school head should accept responsibility, the involvement stroke interest of learners in specific co-curricular activity might also be a pointer to guide in career choice. This can't be said louder than this. And that goes to all school leaders and all education leaders. And we have a question from a student, and he or she is asking, that is from Sholami Okunlola, and she said, how can multi-gifted students decide among several areas they love for a career? That means, I guess she's a multi-gifted student and she's like, okay, don't just have one passion. How can I decide what career to pick? And from what we've realized, we realized that most of our speakers, I mean, virtually all of our speakers, one way or the other, were interested in something else, and later they moved into education sector. Not that those things were inferior or were not good, but not that those things were out. So I would like this question to go to everyone, and I will start with Mrs. Olashini.
Well,
A multi-gifted student, how can she really choose a career?
well, for a multi-gifted student, no matter how multi-gifted you still have, there is something about each gift that is peculiar, that is, kind of, no matter how motivated, at least you still have something, a gift that you, something that you have a passion for, that is, in fact, you can't do without. Even if you are motivated, there will be a particular gift. You just need to sit down and assess your gift, what you have, okay, what you like doing and all that. Okay, I love this. Probably, okay, I love reading. Then, okay, I love traveling. I love solving mathematics. But which of all these three gifts do I do more? Do I love the more? Because you can't love all the gifts equally. So when you look at the one that you really passionate about, that you can't do without, then you can channel your career along that line. But sometimes when we look at, okay, for example now, like the first speaker, what he said concerning law, I won't lie to you. During while in secondary school, then I had the intention of being a lawyer. In fact, I just preferred, I love doing law and all that. But along the line, I have a hunt that said, you are too straight. If you go into law, you will not last. Do you understand now? So I have to shelve that law. But in this this publishing that I'm into now, there is a part that has to do with law, which is all this now, which is there's a part,
copyright,
the legal aspect of publishing. That is legal aspect of publishing. So you see, it's interwoven. I write, I can edit, and at the same time, I understand what law is, what publishing rights and law is all about. So sometimes they are interwoven. So you just need to sit down and look at, okay, this is it. This is what I love doing. Okay, I'm motivated. Yes. Okay, I love this. I love doing this. I love doing that. But within, you will find out that with all the gifts that you're talking about, there will be one that you will be in fact very passionate about. So in publishing now, I'm passionate about, but that love is within it. Do you understand that? So there will be something. You just need to sit down and think about it. Look at those gifts that you have, and then you now pray along, because anything done with the outside of God is worthless. So you still have to pray alongside while choosing, and then you get a better something good out of it. So you know what to do.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ma. Mr. Yes, Ma. Let's see if Mr. Rotimi could add more to it. Mr. Rotimi, sir.
Okay. I think generally we're looking at deciding for children to decide what particular area they want to go into. I think some schools do have psychometric tests as at the time they are about to choose some subjects at the senior level. So the psychometric test will help them because actually there's no child that will not have one area of strength or the other. So these psychometric tests, we actually sequence the strengths and will state specifically the kind of career they can go into that they can do well in it. But beyond that, the passion of the child also, just like it was stated before now, the passion. Because when I'm trying to engage with the young ones, the question I usually ask them is, what can you do so effortlessly that you will not be bored? That you can do it 24 hours even without food. So they try to think as much as possible to think of what they can do. We've got so many instances nowadays that even medical doctors are abandoning the stethoscope to go into farming, which is their passion. We have so many architects nowadays who are abandoning whatever it is they are drawing and they are going to photography.
Wow.
We have so many lawyers now who are going to interior decoration. So it's just a matter of passion. What is it that they can do that can engage them? And as far as they can do it meaningfully, of course, it's to bring food to the table. When my first two sons were attended, there was this particular minister to them, and it was able to sequence, the choice of the kind of career they can do with their interests. Because what the kind of test will do is to identify your strengths based on your aptitude, and it will give you a very clear choice about first three choices that you have, that you say these are the kind of things that you do need. And that's exactly what it has done for them. So that's what schools also do. They engage the test on the children, and that will help them to identify their areas.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. From what we heard is from Mrs. Olashini. She said that no matter the multi-passion you have, that there must be one that will definitely be dominant. And that is the one you really need to look into. And Mr. Rotimi buttress on psychometric tests. Yes, I know that there are several career path tests that you could take to really guide you. But beyond that, it's your passion, which still goes back to what I've been saying. It's your passion, and once you follow your passion diligently, then the sky is just your limit. Thank you very much. We have another question in the chat box. And this question is from Oluwanifemi Dada. And he or she asked, can your hobby be your career, your hobby? Can your hobby be your career? And Miss Utibe, please, could you attend to that question, please, ma'am? Can your hobby be your career?
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. I love that question. Your hobby can absolutely be your career. I don't like to watch sports very much, but one of the sports that I do follow is basketball. And you find that the best professional basketball players love the game. Like, even if they weren't getting paid for it, they would keep playing the game every single day. So it's absolutely possible for your hobby to be your career. Look at guys like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, all this. I mean, Elon Musk loves computers and solving problems. So even if he wasn't the billionaire that he is today, he would continue to tinker with objects. If it's not a car, it's a rocket ship or an actual ship. It's stuff that he loves to do, but he's definitely made an entire career and, a generation of wealth from it. So definitely your hobby can be your career. And if I can just add a comment to the previous question, to say that I think it's actually quite possible to legitimately have, multiple talents. But like the previous speakers have said, because you want to generate a living, and it's possible to be multi-talented, but not multi-skilled. So you have talents in different areas, but you haven't developed any of them. So I would say pick one, develop it to a certain point that it gives you a platform and a living, if possible, a living, and then you move on to the next, right? So Elon Musk can decide now that he wants to be a painter, that he has talent for painting. And if you don't know who Elon Musk is, Elon Musk is the founder of SpaceX and Tesla and all those cool things in the world right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Mrs. Olufela, before you go on, let me ask this question because of our time. Please, students, if you have any question, kindly drop it in the chat box so we could actually ask your questions. Please do that. We've gotten 2 questions from students already. Just to buttress this hobby being your career, yes, again, it can be your career. It can. You don't get tired of something that you love to do. When it's something you can actually do, when it's something you can do, like Mr. Rotimi said, effortlessly, you will just realize that's the point where people start to ask that, why is this person behaving like that? You're the only one here. But the point is, you are just loving what you're doing. Okay. So, Mr. Rotimi, Ms. Utibe, and Ms. Olashini, in few seconds, please. I'm actually looking at our time. Could you tell me one subject that you thank God you actually paid attention to now at the moment that you're using? I'll start with Ms. Olashini.
I didn't get the question, please. Could you please?
Okay, I said, repeat. I said, can you tell us one subject that you are grateful that you actually tried doing that was quite difficult for you, but you are using at the moment? One subject or subjects rather that are of essence to you right now in your present profession.
No.
Did you get that? She did. Okay, I'll come back to you, ma. Ms. Utibe Henshaw, did you get my question?
Yes, I heard you. It's just my answer is a bit boring.
Boring?
But the truth, yes. The truth is that it's maths and English.
I didn't want to hear that at all.
But the truth is, you find that no matter what it is you do, I'm telling you, no matter what it is you do in this life, math and English are 2 very important subjects that you need, because you need them to communicate. I mean, on social media, when you go to somebody's social media page and you see the way they write their captions, you can tell, what kind of education they have. So honestly, math and English.
Okay.
Those 2 subjects that I'm glad that I got a good foundation in.
Okay. Mr. Rotimi. Mr. Rotimi.
I think, well, basically for me, I think it's the major thing we were studying then was biology, and I was quite, I was intrigued by the fact that, you have to study, the human torso, you have to study so many things that you think you would not even need later on in life. But beyond that, I think for now, it's what has been the critical thing for me to state that you have to study the living things and non living things, so to speak. So essentially that covers basically everything. And that's what it is for me, biology.
Initially,
okay, Ms. Olasheni.
Hello. Initially, I thought nothing. Then I now remembered chemistry.
Oh.
Chemistry. And so I'm a science publisher now. I have to edit chemistry. You can imagine.
Oh. Wow.
So you see,
interesting.
Imagine that.
You have to love all this. It means you have to love everything.
You see. Okay. My other question, if you have a response, please. My son tells me, Mommy, why should I study civic education? I don't want to be a governor. What's the essence?
Thank you.
Well, civic
formulas in physics for. What's the essence of it all?
Well, civic education is quite good. It's not because
It's just that they want them to understand.
Because Miss Utibe said math and English, only math and English now. So I need to know civic education.
Not only, but yeah.
And you know that civic education has security education within.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We have subjects, we have topics for what's it called now? Security education and the rest. And you know what is happening out there now. I think that's why they're really, really particular about students, because they have to know how to defend themselves, know what to do. You know, they have to be security conscious, and so they have to know a lot about how it happened, and you know what to do, and like it's not about you studying the course or something. It's about you having an idea and being able to, you know, apply it when situation arises that you need to apply. So that's
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So
I remember I was at
your son.
JSS3 and they said we're supposed to study. I bought a geography textbook. I was so excited when I got that textbook from my savings. Then it was a whole lot of money in JSS3. Okay, I think SS1. And all of a sudden they said art students shouldn't study. We don't have to study geography. I was already loving it. But at that point, because I saved that money and there was no way I was going to read that volume of book, at that time, I had other things they had to replace with that. We couldn't study geography. So when I hear my children telling me about the names of the types of cloud, I look at them like, wow, these children are so intelligent, you know. So, Mr. Rotimi, this is actually for you. Is there a way you can try to marry, or is there a way you try to bring together all those subjects for benefit to the students? You know, like, I don't know, but is there a way you can bring those knowledge that they are missing from this part to this other department?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Okay, like I said, the geography, I don't know, but I'm trying to say, I don't think all the departments study that subject. Is there a way you try to marry all those subjects, those knowledge that is missing in that other place to the other departments, so that they don't miss out totally on it? Or what do? We can't study.
I think what you are trying to say is to have a situation where, you know, the normal traditional school, the traditional setting is that you have students who are doing art, students who are doing science, and students who are doing commerce or something.
That's what they do.
Yeah. In some schools, you don't have that anymore. So what you do is that you timetable it in such a way that children can actually choose the kind of subject they would like to do. Yeah. So you don't block off. You don't the normal, you know, the modern day timetabling now. You don't block off to say geography, further maths, CRS or something like that. You can timetable in such a way that even the science student can do French, for instance.
Yes.
Instead of saying that because you're a science student, you can't do French. You know?
Cannot do French, yes.
An art student who wants to study law, saying that because you're studying law, you don't need further math, you know. So it's you know, there are so many things happening now that unlike what you used to have before now. Yeah. So it's at least
fantastic.
Yes.
You see, I'm so old.
You know, hi. You know, if I was, I would have loved, if I was in secondary school, I would have loved the opportunity to be in art class and do physics, because I didn't like biology. So I wished I could do physics. I loved physics, but not biology and not chemistry. So I mean, if they're doing that kind of timetabling, it would be really really good. So now time is really going. I need you. We need to get back into, so like, what subjects should students be looking at for, and then like, so you're
sorry,
going
Ma.
to senior secondary school and things like that. You know, we need to come back in. So take it away.
All right, Ms. Olufela, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Looking into those the question Ms. Olare just asked, I think is quite related to some questions in the chat box. And really, I would love to take those questions from our student priority. So one of our students asked, and his name is Daniel Adi, and he said, if you said that it is your passion you follow, then for instance, you studied chemistry in the university, and then after the university, you are now a business analyst. So what's the purpose of going to school if most of the time what you studied is not your profession later in future? Okay, I would like this question to go to Mr. Rotimi, please.
Hold on, can you take all the questions and then they go?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and number two, another person asked this question, but you know why I won't want to take the whole question, because it's not asked by it's asked by different people really, and of course we have different people on the panel which might be going through everything, not just one person. Or do you still feel I should go through the questions still?
No, if you just go through them, then they will because they're related. They're somewhat related, so you can.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Peace Okunlola now asks, choosing mass education as a career, what class do you think is most appropriate, science or commercial? Then Peace Okunlola now asks, okay, for one that loves maths and wants to be an educationist, okay, must one study mass education? Okay, I think Utibe and Miss Utibe has answered Adi. And let me just read out. And I think maybe she should just answer it again so that others could benefit. But before she does so, let me just read Mrs. Tani Moller's contribution. But there are still restrictions to guide students to help in their career choice. Wow. Okay, she's saying that there are restrictions to help to guide children in their career choice. So Utibi has responded, but I would love this Mrs. Henshaw to vocalize this so that others too could benefit. That is Daniel Ade's question, that if you studied chemistry, eventually you are studying something else, and then your profession becomes something else, then what's the point going to school?
Thank you very much. I had to type an answer to that question because it's one that is, is quite personal to me. And I feel like a lot of young people struggle with that, in Nigeria because of how, the context of Nigeria is. I just want to say that, like I typed in the chat box, that your first degree does not have to limit what you become. That you did engineering or education or law or linguistics does not mean that that's what you're going to spend the rest of your life doing. We would actually evolve as human beings. And remember, this is a decision that you make when you're a teenager or a young adult about what you want to do for the rest of your life. And you will probably be alive for another 50 to 60 years. So you're allowed to evolve, you're allowed to change, you're allowed to diversify. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. What is important is that you are becoming more productive as an individual, you are becoming more aware, and you are contributing impactfully, both at an individual level and, contributing to the community. So there is no crime, I tell you. I mean, what are people that don't have degrees at all and then end up starting companies that change the world, or they have an idea or a solution that changes everybody's lives? So your first degree is a tool at best. Like I said, it's a launching pad. It's where you can start from there, but it doesn't have to limit you in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Does any other speaker have anything to say, please?
Yes, but it's not about what you study. It's about what you have been able to achieve. What you have been able to achieve. It's not about what you study. The reason why you go to your institution is for you to, to develop your skills. It's not about a particular course. You are there to develop. And when you see people, you say, okay, an educated person selling bread and an uneducated person selling bread, you will see the difference. Because an educated person will be able to, do all manner of things, rebrand, and do all manner of things that will attract people to that product. While an uneducated person will just do it anyhow. So going to school is not about, it's about you acquiring, training, being trained so that you can weather all storms of life. That's it. It's not
Thank you
about
very much,
chemistry or
ma'am.
anything.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, okay, so what I could hear is that number one, as human being, you evolve, and you don't have to get yourself stuck to what you learned in secondary school or in the university. You grow older, you get more informed, and from there you make more critical decisions. And of course, what matters also is your achievements. Your achievement as you grow, what you achieve, one achievement leads to the other, and that also is more important. Thank you very much, ma'am. And we have to Mr. Rotimi right now. What kind of skills, including soft skills, are necessary to develop for your profession? What kind of skills do you think? What kind of skills are necessary?
Okay, well, I think for the young ones generally, the world is becoming a very, very competitive one. And first and foremost, they must be versatile in whatever they do. I was having a chat with a family friend recently where my second son has gone to stay because of his closeness to his PPA. And he was talking about a colleague of his who studied mathematics, while at university. And in the course of that mathematics education, while at university, he was able to sit for his ICANN and passed ICANN. Today, he's a chartered accountant. Now you can imagine, the kind of experience he's going to bring to bear, whether he's in a financial sector or whatever sector he finds himself. And the same thing goes with virtually every sector nowadays. So our young ones must be versatile. They must be able to do something extra, apart from, what they are doing currently. And they should try as much as possible to also be a team player, because there's no how they work.
Yeah.
They won't work with others. They have to collaborate with others.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Ms. Olasheni,
thank you.
Ms. Olasheni, is like you have something to add to that.
Well, the question says skills, soft skills to develop. I talk about
skills necessary.
For my party. Yes,
for your profession.
You need education. That is just it. You need, most especially English. Because without English, you can't edit. When we in this publishing of a thing, we have something that we have 5 rules. We have talked about consistency. We talk about conciseness. We talk about correctness. We talk about so many 5, things that dictates that help us to achieve to achieve a better book. Because there's no perfect book. Yes, you don't have a perfect book, but you have near perfect. So when you are editing now and you can't read, you can't write good English, how do you want to do that? How do you want to even pass the message across to others? So you need education, you need English, you need literature. In fact, you need to be versatile. You need all the subjects. Because you may decide that, okay, I want to be in the humanities, and you find yourself in the sciences, having to edit a science subject. So that's why I said you have to be versatile. You need education generally. Then aside from that, you need training. We have training institutes. We have NPA, that is Nigerian Publishers Association. We have some other training institutes that are coming up now. Those ones too, although based in Ibadan. But then you can go there, you pay, okay, if you are working for a publishing house, because they are members already, they subsidize. But if you are not a member, if you are not working in the publishing house and you are going there on your own, you have to pay and all that. You pay higher than what those people will pay. You understand now? So you need training, you need education, and you need especially English. And aside from that, you need passion. You must love reading. If you don't like reading, then don't find your way there. because you have to read. You have to read. You have to read to understand. You have to read. You have to read in such a way that you put yourself in the place of the end user. If you are given primary school subject to do, to edit, you must be a primary school student. So you have to place yourself in the line or in the subject you have been asked to work on. So that's just it. You need training. You need training. You need education. You can't do publishing without education or training.
All right, thank you very much, Ma. Okay, thank you very much, all our speakers. I'll just rush through a question and which I will answer because it has been answered earlier by one of the speakers, so that our students will feel left out. And she was like, okay, she loves math, but what subjects can she do if she's doing a math education? And as it was earlier mentioned,
it can be an editor,
there are some brochure.
An editor.
Exactly. There are some there's this jam brochure, and there's guides to the subjects you definitely need to go into some particular courses. So, and there's several brochures like that, so you could just go into them and you'll find guides to them. And I guess you could also Google it and you'll find guides to what you want. Thank you very much. Thank you once again, our speakers. But we just want in 30 seconds, please, for each and every one of you. In 30 seconds, give us your last word for our children. And we start with Miss Utibe, please. Give us your last, not your last really, but not the least. So, but just in 30 seconds, please. What do you want us to go with?
Thank you so much. I think for the teenagers and the young people, that I just want to say, somebody says our question has not been answered.
Yeah. And she said that she's the one that loves math and wants to be an educationist.
Math and wants to be an education was one. Not necessarily. Math education, it's a yes, because math education is basically it's a course that prepares you to be a math teacher, right? To understand the psychology of teaching math.
Yeah. Excuse me.
And also, amongst other things.
Please, absolutely. You can be a math editor, a math publisher, please.
Yes, amongst other things, absolutely. Yes. But you don't have to be.
So it's not only school.
So yes, because publishers are doing the work of educating by creating instructional material. So please, the options are quite broad. Like, and for me, when I was in school, I liked math and chemistry, and I hated biology. So I put all of that together and decided that chemical engineering was going to be my first degree. Thank God that life has taken me in a much broader path. So yeah, if you want to be an educationist and you love math, yes, math education could be a good place to start, but it doesn't have to be. Do you get what I mean? But it's definitely a good place to start. And it doesn't mean that you will end up as a teacher. And I think that that's just what will be my last word to the teenagers, which is that whatever you do, don't put any restrictions in your mind. The possibilities are endless. Be open-minded, be curious, ask questions, do your research, and then just try out new things, try different things. Take the world around us, the world that we live in is a knowledge economy, People need more knowledge as information technology becomes broader. Right now, we are having this conversation over Zoom. Zoom didn't exist 10 years ago. With the pandemic, we are conferencing from all over the world, from the comfort of our homes and offices. We don't need to all meet in a physical place. So knowledge is important and possibilities are endless. So be open-minded, ask questions, be curious, and just be passionate. Find something that you care enough about to fight for, and keep getting better at it. So I think that would be my last word. So there's no limit, whether it's education you want a career in or music, it doesn't matter. There's no limit at all.
Thank you, Miss Henshaw. Thanks for that. Miss Henshaw says no restriction. So our teenagers, please be open-minded and dream big. Okay, Miss Olashini, please.
Yes.
Could we have your Hello? We can hear you, ma.
Hello.
Hello, ma.
You can hear me. Okay. I'll always just say, follow your passion and desire to conclusion.
Follow
To
your
remember,
passion and
God first.
Simple and short.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma.
Okay, thank you, Ma. Follow your passion
Or
to desire, then to conclusion. Thank you, Ma. And
to
remember,
at
God
least you
first.
achieve them.
Thank you very
But
much, Ma.
put God
Mr. Rotimi.
first.
Yes, but put God first.
God
Yes,
first.
very important. Okay, Mr. Rotimi, please.
Yes, I think the young ones need to know that the world is actually, as it is now, it should be their focus. They shouldn't just limit themselves to what is available in Nigeria alone. They should make the world the center stage and try as much as possible. Whatever it is they are preparing now, they should be able to compete at the world stage, at the global stage. So which means that they should be devoted to whatever it is they have chosen to be their career. They should be devoted to their passion. They should do everything they want to do diligently in such a way that at least they will stand out, from the crowd wherever they are.
Thank you very much, sir. What we can hear from Mr. Rotimi is make the world your audience. Be a global change maker. Don't limit yourself to your immediate environment. Where we are right now, we've gone global. So you have to go global. So don't limit yourself to your present environment, but whatever you do, put your passion, put your diligence into it, knowing that the world is watching. Thank you very much, Ma. Now to reiterate what they've said, Ms. Utibe said no restrictions, dream big. And Mrs. Olashini said, follow your desire to conclusion, be diligent and be persistent. Then Mr. Rotimi said, make the world your audience. Okay, thank you very much. It's such a wonderful moment we have with you. And really, I must say, I've learned a whole lot and I'm yet to even digest on them. I'll still have to go through the recording again to really learn and pass to others around me because this is so resourceful. Okay, Temitayo, any thanks to
If I start, I won't feel because I've actually learned a whole lot. And imagine, I didn't know I could study other. I wish I could go back to the secondary school presently. And
really?
But thank God for online schooling. We can actually so many other programs and learn one or two things. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you all for joining. God bless you. Over to you, Mr. Laure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to anchors, Ife and Triple T, as I love to call you. Thank you to our speakers. Uncle Rotimi, I'll just say, right, I love
supposed to say
technology.
Thank you to Mommy Tanimola. Sorry. She made lots of contributions. I think she doesn't want us to see her face. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you, Mrs. Tanimola. I'd like to say something. I love technology so much. I met Uncle Rotimi on LinkedIn, and I reached out to him. I said, please, would you speak at this program? And he accepted. So thank you so much, Uncle Rotimi. Mrs. Orimogunje, she has done. For those of you who are familiar with my program, My Community and I, she did the editing. She's the editor of that book, My Community and I. And then Utibe Henshaw, thank you so much. I met her at TEP and I volunteered with TEP a few times, and she's just amazing. And so I really wanted to try and bring an all-round focus on education so that the kids know, or I mean the children, the teenagers know that if you study education, you're not limited to the classroom. There's just so much you can do as an educationist. And so I hope our students have learned something this evening. Please, can we hear from the students? Can we hear you say a thank you to our speakers and to our anchors?
Ms. Utibe just asked if we've answered Peace's question. Please, have your question been answered?
Yes. I had a blast.
Okay.
Peace, is Peace still around?
Oh, he is.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So was your question answered?
Yeah, the second one was answered, but the first wasn't.
Okay. What was the
Okay,
first?
what's the first one?
The first was
Mass
choosing
education as a
education.
career.
Yes.
What class do you think is most appropriate? Science or
Science or
commercial?
commercial? Okay. I think Uncle Rotimi can answer that, or even Auntie Remy as well.
Okay, I think peace, right?
Yes.
Is that for peace?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know how your school operates, but if your school operates a straight jacket one where you have the art students separately, science separately, commercial separately, you can actually fit into any of those because you can do math, any of those, compartmentalization. You can do math in art, you can do math in science, you can do math in commerce. So it's not something that, so it depends on you now. Because if you want to do math, I would recommend you should do further math. So maybe that will take you further to a science, oriented department. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you very much, sir. Peace, are you good? Are you good, Peace?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Physics.
Okay, so what do you have to say to the speakers of today?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Maz.
Thank you. Any other person?
Beautiful.
Daniel Ade.
You can all just unmute yourselves and say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you.
And so with that, we're going to end our session. I'd like to say a very big thank you to everyone who made it today. This ends the careers fair for today. Tomorrow we'll have another 3 sessions. The first session of the day at 9 to 11 will be on hospitality and tourism and human services. This will work. These will go concurrently. Then at 12 noon, we'll have law, public safety and corrections. And at 3 o'clock, we'll have transportation. At 3 o'clock, transportation, and we'll be having Mr. Fola Tinumbu, the head of Primero Transportation Services. That's the BRT. So if you'd like to see him, he's very, very open as well to speaking with young people. So make it a day tomorrow. So thank you. Thank you so much. And hope to see you again throughout the course of the careers fair. Also on the Google Classroom platform, you were supposed to have done a preparatory workshop there and the careers assessments. After the careers fair, we're going to have a career planning coaching. So you'll be able to write out some things that you would like to achieve within maybe the next year or the next 2 or 3 years. So that's what we're going to be doing on Friday, the 23rd. So if you're not on the Google platform yet, make sure you're there. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.